Hey everyone, I'm back after a weekend of busy work and the Super Bowl, and obviously you could see my evaluation of the Super Bowl on my last video, and I'll have another one soon evaluating how the game went. But I wanted to get this out because it's been a week since the NBA trade deadline, or almost a week since the NBA trade deadline, and I just wanted to post my quick reactions on it and stuff. So it was a really busy deadline. The NBA trade deadline is always busy. And after a year where there were no trades, September to pretty much December, it really picked up in January when the Wizards traded Rui Hachimura to the Lakers. And then you saw Kyrie Irving to the Mavericks, Kevin Durant to the Suns, and then you saw D'Angelo Russell to the Lakers. And there were a lot of trades. And instead of going through every single one and talking about that, I'm instead going to go through a few of the meaningful ones and then some winners and losers. So, first off, let's talk about the Hachimura trade because the Hachimura trade really was the first big one of this cycle, even though it was a few weeks before the trade deadline. And it showed that the Lakers weren't okay with their position. When you have LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you really need a tertiary scorer, and that's what Hachimura brings. And obviously, D'Angelo Russell brings that too, but I'll get to that. But when they traded for Hachimura, Hachimura was averaging 14 a game. He's a great guy down low, and it takes a little of the pressure off defense, off AD on defense and giving up Kendrick Nunn, who is barely getting minutes, and some second-round picks for Hachimura, who's under contract for a few more years. That's a good deal for the Lakers. And I don't know what exactly is going on with the Lakers, honestly. And this leads me to the next trade, which we'll talk about when the Lakers got D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt, and they traded away Westbrook, Juan Toscano Anderson to the Jazz, and then there was the Timberwolves were involved. They got Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker or Walker, and the Lakers also gave up a first rounder to the Jazz. So this puts the Lakers in a weird position because the Lakers are in the play-in right now if the season ended today, but they're towards the bottom. And now they, along with LeBron and AD, who are both dealing with their injuries, they bring in D'Angelo Russell, who could be a top 10 point guard in the league. They're bringing Jared Vanderbilt, who's great for their rotation, and they're bringing Hashimura, who's obviously good inside. But are the Lakers better than the Suns? Are they better than the Mavericks, who both made big trades that I'll get to later? Are they better than the Warriors, who didn't make trades and might be one of the losers of this deadline? Are they still better than Stephen Curry? They beat the Warriors last week, but still, I don't know if the Lakers are better. I still think the Lakers' ceiling is the second round. I don't even think they'll make it out of the first round unless LeBron James plays out worldly, and we know he has the capacity. But what this is saying from Jeanie Buss, Rob Pelinka, and the front office and co of the Lakers is that they have LeBron James. They're going to have LeBron James for a year or two more. They're going all in because they have talent. They definitely have talent. Now it's about the chemistry. And thank God they got out of the Russell Westbrook thing because Russell Westbrook was one of the best players in the league for a while, but he's really, really regressed. He can't shoot from outside. He's great from the perimeter. I mean, he's great when he drives, not great from the perimeter. I don't know what I was saying there. And he's a good passer and a good rebounder, but he really, whenever the Lakers were on the court, you could see how much worse they were with him. And it's good to get out of that deal because obviously they gave up a decent amount to get him from the Wizards. They gave up Kuzma. They gave up who else did they give up in that deal? They gave up Montrezl Harrell, who's actually having a decent season. But it's good for the Lakers to get out of that Westbrook thing. And now it becomes LeBron, D'Lo, Hachimura, Davis in a lineup when they're all healthy. Jared Vanderbilt coming off the bench along with a few other players, and the Lakers will be an interesting team to watch. They're always interesting because they have LeBron James, but this just adds on to it. So that's one of the first trades I wanted to get into. Second, New York Knicks getting Josh Hart. Not a lot of Knicks content out there, but the Knicks traded Cam Reddish, Ryan Arcidiacono, and Svi Mykhailiuk, and a first-round pick, which is protected to the Blazers for Josh Hart. And I think this is a good trade for the Knicks' depth. The Knicks are 6th in the East right now, I believe. They're around that range, and it just means that they're trying to go, maybe not on a playoff run, but they're buying into their culture. Tom Thibodeau has really put a winning culture there, and adding Josh Hart to play with Jalen Brunson and Obi Toppin, who's playing better, but obviously Julius Randle, because Brunson and Randle are the best too. It definitely gives the Knicks more depth, and I think you've seen Hart get into this lineup and slot in well. They beat the Nets for the first time in 10 tries yesterday. I know the Nets are a different team, but just getting over that bump, that's a big thing for them. What else? Toronto Raptors getting Jacob Poeltl. Weird. A lot of people thought the Raptors were going to rebuild. Now they gave up their first round pick. It's a weird trade. Let's just say that. And then going through, the Lakers also traded for Devon Reed. They traded away Thomas Bryant to make room for Hachimura. They also gave away Patrick Beverly for Mo Bamba. Mo Bamba could bring a lot of inside, and getting Pat Bev to the Magic. I mean, not much to say about Pat Bev. Yeah. Okay. Now the two biggest trades of the trade deadline, and I know that these are trades that I have a personal preference in because I'm a Nets fan, but I think any NBA fan could agree that these are the two big trades of the deadline. So first off, the Dallas Mavericks traded for Kyrie Irving and Markieff Morris for Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith, a 2029 first, and 2 second-round picks. So the Nets move on from Kyrie Irving after 3 disastrous years, with Kyrie missing over 100 games, taking over 100 million in money, and where he won one playoff series, even though the Nets, he made it clear that's where he wanted to be when he left from Boston. Now, there's two sides to this. So first, let's start with the one that's a bit less important. Let's start with what the Nets got. Yeah, the Nets got maybe not the most favorable package, but they bring back Spencer Dinwiddie, who's been great in his return so far. They bring back Finney Smith, who's a three-point shooter and is scoring 10 per game and is another 3-and-D wing. And that's accumulate some picks for a guy that really didn't want to play for the franchise anymore. They weren't going to extend him, and it's just something they had to do. They had to get out of this Kyrie Irving thing. Just like they had to get out of James Harden, they had to get out of this. And then the Mavericks side, or I'll get back to that side in a second when it comes to Kyrie, and I'll definitely talk about that more in the winners and losers. The Mavericks have one of the best duos in the league right now. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are two of the best on-ball and off-ball players in the league, and you pair them together, and they've been great together, even though they lost to the Timberwolves the other night. Kyrie Irving could be more of an off-ball, Luka more on-ball, or vice versa. They both can't be double-teamed at the same time, and they are just two special players, two top 10 talents of the league, and the Mavericks are scary, and the West becomes scarier because of it. And then Markieff Morris is just a piece he could add to their rotation, obviously. Now, what to think of the Nets and Irving, because it was just the marriage that really led to divorce. A lot of people are going to say that the Nets were the reason Kyrie left. Kyrie was the reason Kyrie left. Kyrie, with all the dysfunction in the organization, because I'm not arguing that the Nets aren't dysfunctional because of how much they had to deal with this stuff, Kyrie Irving did not put himself in a favorable position in these years with the Nets. First year, he was injured, barely played. That you can't control. Next, the COVID year. Injured, refused to get the vaccination, and what do you expect there? Like, when he didn't get the vaccination, yes, you have your right. I'm not saying you have your right, but it just was not good for the Nets. And then he came back, and they had no chemistry, Kyrie and KD. And then he gets hurt a lot. And so he missed so many games, and it was just time for them to move on. Kyrie Irving, you could argue, has been the reason he left all three franchises. He left the Cavaliers because he wanted to be a bus driver. He left the Celtics because he wanted to go to the Nets and make more money. He left the Nets because they didn't respect him, and he obviously causes all the off-court drama and stuff. We'll get back to that more in a second. Okay, last but definitely not least, definitely the biggest trade of the deadline because many didn't expect it to happen, and one of the biggest trades in NBA history. Kevin Durant traded from the Brooklyn Nets to the Suns with TJ Warren, and the Nets in return got Mikal Bridges, Cameron Johnson, Jay Crowder, 4 first-round picks, and a 2028 pick swap. So this was obviously one of the biggest deals of the trade deadline and one of the biggest in NBA history because the Suns get Kevin Durant, and now the Suns have Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Cameron Payne, on and on. They have to be one of the favorites in the West. And starting with them, obviously they bring in a strong scorer in KD, who's not going to play till after All-Star Weekend, but it's still Kevin Durant. And when he's healthy, he is one of the best players on earth. I'd go as far to say he's the best player on earth when he's healthy. He's one of the best scorers all time, can score from anywhere. We knew this. And now you're pairing him with Chris Paul, who's still so hungry for an NBA ring, and Devin Booker, who's one of the best shooting guards in the league. And the Suns are really scary. And yeah, they gave up a lot, but that's what you got to do for Kevin Durant. And you can look at the Nets' return, going to the Nets side, and go, wow, the Nets won the trade because of the return they got. Mikal Bridges and Cameron Johnson are two great 3-and-D wings. They're going to contribute a lot for the Nets. Both average over, Bridges averages over 17 a game. I'm pretty sure Johnson is over 13 a game. And then they got Jay Crowder in the trade, and they shipped it for a few first-round picks. And you're just like, wow, the Nets got a lot of picks accumulated from KD and Kyrie. But as a Nets fan, and as just an NBA fan in general, it's very hard to justify winning a trade when the other way is Kevin Durant, because everybody knows how good Kevin Durant is. He's an undisputed top 5 player in the league. I'd call him the best player in the league when he's healthy. But it was, I'm not going to call it the right move for the Nets. The Nets needed to get out of it. KD clearly met with Nets management. He met with Joe Tsai, he met with Sean Marks, and he said, I don't really want to be here anymore. There's too much going on, and now KD doesn't have to worry about being the bus driver. The Suns are Chris Paul and Devin Booker's team, and KD is there for the ride. KD will be the best player when he gets on the court. Don't get me wrong, but KD doesn't have to deal with the off court drama. He doesn't have. Chris Paul and Devin Booker have very clean slates. The Suns staff, they don't get hurt a lot. KD's good there, and he's now in a small market where all he needs to focus on is basketball. And the Suns are one of the favorites in the West. So when he starts focusing on basketball, and he already is, you could see it in the Suns' Instagrams. The Suns are going to be scary. And the Nets weren't winning a championship once they got rid of Irving. They saw this as the best deal with Durant. They had to get out of it. And the Nets have a lot of 3-and-D wings now. They got a decent trade package, and we'll see where they go from there. So there's my evaluation of some of the big trades. So now let me just give you 3 winners and losers of each. And then that's pretty much it from the NBA trade deadline, because a lot of it is new, and it's hard to say winners and losers when you're only a week in. But starting with the winners. 1, the Los Angeles Lakers. It's hard calling the Lakers a winner. This is the one of the 3 that I don't feel as confident calling a winner. But you pick up D'Angelo Russell, Jared Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, Mo Bamba, who can all contribute and pair up with LeBron and Anthony Davis, and it gives the Lakers a lot of different looks. And at the same time, you get out of the Westbrook drama with Westbrook not playing well, and Patrick Beverley going the other way isn't really that big of a deal because he was playing, but now you have D'Angelo Russell. And so the Lakers, does it make them one of the top teams in the East? In the West? Probably not, and that's why it's hard calling them a winner, but they clearly got better this deadline. And Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss, like I said, they showed that they want to get better and compete, and when you have LeBron James, you always have a chance to compete, especially when he's healthy and Anthony Davis is healthy. There's number one. Winner number 2, Dallas. I talked about it. Dallas gets Kyrie Irving, who's the best ball handler in the league. Yes, he causes a lot of drama, but we'll see. He's now in a place where he feels respected and stuff, so I don't think Luka Doncic or anybody will deal with Kyrie Irving's drama. I think Kyrie Irving actually wants to be in Dallas. Who knows what's going to happen this offseason, but Dallas is a better team now. They got Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic are one of the best duos in the league, and they have to be considered one of the favorites in the West. And I'm going to do 2 more, actually. But the last, rational one is the Suns, obviously. You got Kevin Durant, you want a deal. It doesn't matter what the deal is, you get Kevin Durant. They didn't only get Kevin Durant for 1 year. This is not a rental. Kyrie Irving might be a rental for the Mavericks because they haven't extended him. The Phoenix Suns got Kevin Durant for 3 more years. So for the next 3 years, it's going to be Kevin Durant, it's going to be Devin Booker, and Chris Paul. And Chris Paul is under lock for 2 more years, but Booker's there and Durant's there to stay, and you have a lot of players around them. They have Campaign, they have DeAndre Ayton, who's there for 3 more years. The Suns clearly won this deal. They have to be considered one of the favorites in the West. They were one of the favorites in the West going into this year, and the Suns management probably... They were in the Durant race in the offseason when the Suns lost by 40 to the Mavericks in Game 7. And I think Suns management, they just brought in a new owner. They see the Dallas Mavericks bring in Kyrie Irving, and they go, that team just beat us by 40 in the playoffs. If we want to make a playoff run, we got to go get our players. Yes, McCall Bridges and Cameron Johnson are good. Yes, Jay Crowder was a good player for them. But bringing in Kevin Durant is game-changing for them, and that's why they have to be considered a winner. And last, a bit more of an irrational winner, but the Boston Celtics and Milwaukee Bucks have to be considered winners of this trade deadline because they're now the 2 clear favorites in the East, and the Nets could have made some noise, and now they're not. And I think that the results will show. And I think the Celtics and Bucks have to be considered the 2 favorites in the East. But those are my winners. Losers, 1, Brooklyn Nets. They lost Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant. Yes, they had to get out of it. Yes, you could justify that this was the right thing to do to get their franchise on the right trajectory. But they lost Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, and they lost James Harden the year before. They have to be considered one of the biggest busts in NBA history, if not the best. They had 3 Hall of Famers. They were an inch away from winning the championship if KD's foot wasn't on the line, but it doesn't matter. It's one of the biggest busts in NBA history, and now the Nets have a lot of talented players on their lineup, but they do need to think of a different trajectory, and obviously, we'll see what happens. Second loser, Golden State Warriors. The Warriors didn't do much besides giving up James Wiseman. They needed to get out of that. Wiseman was not playing well for there. He gets a fresher start in Detroit. They got 5 second-round picks, but the Warriors really lack a 3-and-D wing, and I think a lot of the West got better, and as the reigning champions who have not been playing so well this season due to injuries or lack of depth, or Moses Moody not playing well. They really need Jonathan Kuminga to step up. It just feels like the Warriors got, maybe not even that the Warriors got worse, but the other Western Conference teams got better. And that's something that I don't think he wants to admit as a Warriors fan, but I feel like that's something that needs to be addressed. And last, I think that the Timberwolves lost the trade deadline a little. It's sort of hard because when you talk about the Timberwolves and what they got Mike Conley, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and 3 second-round picks. The Timberwolves have Anthony Edwards, Karl Anthony Towns, and Rudy Gobert, and they lost Jared Vanderbilt, so they got a bit worse, but I don't think they were going to contend this year anyway, so it's hard calling them a loser. The two main losers have to be the Nets, and you could call the Warriors a loser, but they didn't really make a lot of options. I thought they could, and I think the Toronto Raptors are also a loser, so actually I'll make that my other loser instead of the Timberwolves. The Raptors gave up their first-round pick when many thought they were trying to tank. They didn't trade OG Anunoby and could have gotten so many picks for them. I know the Warriors wanted them. I know a lot of other teams wanted them, so they lost. Okay, so there's my NBA trade deadline evaluations, and I'll have a Super Bowl video soon, as long as some college basketball stuff and some hockey stuff too. Now, I'm going to do hockey closer to the trade deadline, but like and subscribe always, and tell your friends to follow my TikTok and everything else, and more videos on the way. Thanks so much, guys. See you soon.